Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video here on DNTV, and I want to apologize for the late video. We've been kind of preoccupied for the last week, having some fun. In other words, having a new child. So like I said, sorry for the late video, but we are going to get our picks in before our NFL picks in for Sunday. And I'm going to go over week 2. It's God, because that was already a week ago. Last weekend, so. See what I can remember. Our record for week 2 ended up being 16-17 after we started or ended week 1 10-6. So it wasn't a good what do you want to call it? It wasn't a good week for week 2. I think especially because the Dolphins lost, 49ers lost, the Patriots lost, the Cowboys lost, the Jaguars lost, the Lions lost, the Ravens lost, and the Colts lost. So the Texans won. Whoops. See, my mind's already messed up anyway. So my record was 17-15, so we still have a winning record. My math just didn't math for a second. Because the Texans did win, but the Eagles lost to the Falcons on Monday Night Football. So that brought our record to 17-15 instead of 16-17. One thing I did notice is that I knew Kansas City's plan kind of is to go more towards the receivers and whatnot, and kind of use Kelsey as kind of like a decoy almost, but I don't think that what they're doing right now is going to allow them to continue to have success for long. Especially because I think they need to find a way to get the ball back to Kelsey, because he is one of their playmakers regardless. He is getting older and he hasn't been playing much snaps, but the majority of his snaps right now are just pass blocking and run blocking, almost. I mean, in week 2, he had one reception on 3 targets for like 3 yards. But I think they really need to find a way to get the ball to him again, because it does really look like, especially in week 2, it looked like Mahomes really kind of forced the ball almost to the receivers, and he didn't want to find very many checkdowns and whatnot at some points, which he had 1 or 2 interceptions, I think. And so I don't think that they're obviously, and they're going to make a deep playoff run. But I still don't think that the way they're playing right now is going to get them through the AFC in the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl again until they change it at least a little bit. And like I said, and find a way to get the ball to Kelsey, because he's just running out there at this point. I mean, he ain't even doing anything really that much. But another thing I noticed too is that the Saints are kind of no shit this year. I mean, they went week 1 and they beat the shit out of the Panthers, and obviously it's the Panthers. The Panthers are a really bad organization, especially benching Bryce Young. And I've heard possibly looking to trade him too. I think it's the fastest we've seen a number 1 draft pick get benched so fast, but yeah, he's not making a lot of reads, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, but you traded all that stuff. And I think the Panthers still have a number 1 pick or not a number one pick, a first round draft pick that goes to the Bears this round, or this next year's draft too. And it's the last pick that was involved in that trade for the Panthers to get the number one pick to get Bryce Young. But I don't get it. I think Andy Dalton, and I'm surprised Andy Dalton's even in the league still, but the Panthers just need to get their shit together, and they need to figure it out more than just their roster. I think that they have some problems with their front office too, I think. I'm going to put it right here. Come on, dickhead. There, that's a little better. So now it's not so dark. There, yeah. But then week 2, Saints come back in and face the Cowboys in Dallas, which I thought the Cowboys were going to win, but they got the hell kicked out of them. I mean, the score ended up being 44-19 between the Saints and the Cowboys, and the Saints beat them bad. And they faced the Eagles today, or tomorrow, which I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints ended up winning against the Eagles too. Yeah, especially because Alvin Kamara got 4 touchdowns in the game against Dallas, which was absolutely crazy. One other one that surprised me too is that Minnesota ended up beating the 49ers, which Minnesota's defense played really well against the 49ers offense, and I think they just got enough turnovers to keep the momentum against the 49ers, and they couldn't really get their enough momentum back to score, which, I mean, the score only ended up being 17-23, but yeah. Which, in the first round of games as well, I think the Packers played very good against the Colts. I mean, after the first half, the time of possession was completely one-sided. I mean, the Packers had almost a little over 23 minutes of possession, and the Colts only had 6:30, which the Colts were really struggling too, and Anthony Richardson, I think, wasn't doing the greatest, and he was struggling a little bit. Moving on to some of the other games. The Steelers game against the Broncos went how I thought it would. Not quite how I thought it would. I mean, obviously I had a feeling that the Steelers were going to win, but their offensive line the Steelers continued to struggle to find the end zone, but it did look better, I thought. And mainly, I think the one thing that killed them throughout the whole game was the offensive penalties. I mean, just killed them throughout the whole game. I mean, their offensive line, I think Broderick Jones had three offensive penalties in one drive, I think. So that really, but obviously, like I said, the offense really showed improvement, or they're making steps towards improvement. I mean, yeah, right now they're not scoring any touchdowns, but the way that they're playing and the way that they're kind of they're working a little bit more. For some reason, it feels a little bit different than last year, with how bad they were struggling with Matt Canada as their offensive coordinator. They just seem to be more like almost competent, if you could call it. And I mean, especially when like they start driving the ball down. That was really the only thing that killed them in the game against the Broncos, is that they would work their way down the field and work a big play, and then it would be an offensive holding every time. I mean, so that the offensive line definitely has to get going, and mainly they're figure out what they're doing at the tackle position, because I think they said that Broderick Jones is going to be a swing tackle anyway, but he's a left tackle, I think, at his true position is. So hopefully they get that figured out tomorrow against the Chargers, which that's going to be a real show of what the offense can do, and hopefully Justin Fields can actually throw a couple touchdowns. And obviously, hopefully the offensive line can hold up. But then on the Sunday night football game, Caleb Williams in the first half looked a lot better than what he did in the first week. And obviously, when you're going up against the Texans defense for a rookie, I mean, you're gonna a tough defense is what the Texans have. Is gonna be a hard challenge for a rookie. But he looked he did look calmer, he looked better, and he stood in the pocket sometimes and really trusted his receivers. In the first half, I think they did really have some false start penalty issues, but I don't think it ended up being like throughout the whole game. I think that they'll look to continue, that Caleb Williams will look to continue to get better, and obviously nowadays they don't sit their rookies for long, and some of them that are first round draft picks, they just start them right away and hope that they're ready for the NFL, and sometimes it turns out they're not, and sometimes it turns out that they're one of those guys that just needs a little bit more time and a little bit more adjustment, which Caleb Williams looks like he needs to be could be one of those guys where he's got the know-how, he's kind of just has to take a little bit of time and slowly work on it and work as much as he can to keep improving every day. But we'll see week 3 when he faces the Colts. And we'll see how much he improves again. I look for him to have a good game. I mean, even in the first quarter, I think maybe later into the second quarter, that he already had 93 passing yards more than he had in week 1, which I think he ended the game with a little over 100. Almost. I don't remember if he quite threw 200, but I think he definitely, like I said, he looked a lot better. And with the Texans this week against the Vikings, it'll be interesting because Joe Mixon's gonna be out, I think. Damon Pierce is out. So that leaves their like third and fourth string running backs. So it might not see as much running as you normally would, but I think they'll still have a good game against the Vikings. So moving on, I'm going to talk about my week 3 picks this week. The Patriots and the Jets. I did have the Jets winning. Like I said, I was kind of sitting in the hospital, so I couldn't make a video on it before the game. But I wrote it down in my phone before, I think back on Wednesday. what my picks were going to be. So I did have the Jets winning. Moving on to Sunday, I've got the Browns beating the Giants. And because the Giants, like I've said the last 2 weeks, they're not a good football team. It's just they've got a long ways to go before they are a good football team. So I think the Browns are going to win that one. I do think the Saints are going to continue to win and beat the Eagles, though, especially after the Falcons just came in in the last drive on Monday and won. That game-winning drive to end it. So I think the Saints are going to beat the Eagles today, especially with how good that they're playing lately. I think it'll be a closer game than what their last 2 games have been, but I think the Saints are still going to win. Next, I have the Texans beating the Vikings, even with the running backs being out, because I think it'll be a really good game, but it's just one of those things where it's going to be tough offense versus tough defense and tough defense versus tough offense on either side. I mean, they're both solid teams this year, but I still think the Texans are going to win in a close game, I would say. I wouldn't say it's going to end up being like a 3-point win is what it is, or difference, I should say. After that, I have the Buccaneers beating the Broncos. Because the Broncos, I think Bo Nix has got a long road ahead of him from being a good quarterback. Obviously, they're going to be a good team, I think, depending on how Bo Nix plays, but they are not. I think they'll play good against the Buccaneers, but I don't think they're going to beat them because Buccaneers have been playing pretty good. Next, I have the Bears actually beating the Colts today. Especially looking based off of last week, how the Colts kind of struggled moving the ball and how Anthony Richardson kind of looked, with the Bears defense being tougher than what they're given credit for. I think the Bears are going to win today, or Sunday. Next, I have the Packers beating the Titans, mainly because Will Levis has not been looking as great as he did, having a really, really tough fumble this week and another tough fumble last week in week 1. I think he's going to lose to the Packers because I think Malik Willis played well last week. There was a lot of questions on whether or not if he could do it, on if he could be good for the Packers enough, but he did do pretty well. So they're going to win today, or Sunday. Oh my God. Next, I have the Chargers at Steelers. I have the Steelers winning today. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be decided very closely. But the Steelers are going to win. That Steelers defense is going to give Justin Herbert a little tough time today, especially with the Steelers defense only holding like 16 points to their opponents. Pretty freaking good, if you ask me. Next, I have the Dolphins losing to the Seahawks today. Sunday. Oh my God. Next, I have the Seahawks beating the Dolphins on Sunday. Especially now that Tua is out for a while, I don't think their backup quarterback's going to do as good as Tua can. Obviously, he's a backup for a reason, but I think they'll play okay. But I don't think they'll play enough. I mean, the Seahawks, the Seahawks are kind of in their groove and they've got their guys. Panthers at Raiders. I have the Raiders winning because it's the Panthers. I'd be surprised if the Panthers even win a game. Let alone maybe with Andy Dalton, maybe they'll do better, but the Panthers are just a garbage team, to be honest. So the Raiders are going to win. Next, 49ers at Rams. I have the 49ers winning. Because I think the 49ers are playing okay. They're playing good, but without Christian McCaffrey, without that running back that they try to get him to run the ball 20, 30 times a game, they're not playing as good as they could be. But until Christian McCaffrey comes back, which the Madden curse is still a thing, I still think they're going to win regardless, but they're not going to be as up to what they should be compared to when they have Christian McCaffrey. Next, I have the Lions at Cardinals. Yes, the Cardinals did really well last week. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 4 receptions for 130 yards and like 2 touchdowns in the first quarter of the first half kind of thing, and then he never saw the ball again after that. But the Lions are going to beat the Cardinals, I think. Tough loss by the Lions last week, I think. Yeah, but they faced the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers were a pretty good team. But I still think the Lions are going to manage to win. Next, I have the Ravens and Cowboys, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I hope the Cowboys win. And because I have the Cowboys winning on Sunday, mainly because I think having Derrick Henry hasn't been working out as much as they should, as much as you would have thought. I mean, Derrick Henry's not that 20, 30 rush attempt guy like he used to be for Tennessee anymore, but something's wrong with that offense. I mean, they're losing so many leads. I mean, they lost a lead last week and then couldn't get it done against the Raiders. The Raiders made a good comeback. Week 1, I think, was the same way. They just have a really hard time with, and whether it comes down to like their running backs, their wide receivers maybe, quarterbacks, or their coaching. I think it really kind of falls down on coaching too, that it's like you're losing so many leads. Like, you got to get that one figured out, because if they go 0-3 already, that would be fantastic, but that would put the Baltimore Ravens in some big trouble. But the Cowboys are going to win today. Sunday. Oh my God. Next, Chiefs at Falcons. I have the Falcons winning against the Chiefs. I mean, because they made a good comeback against the Eagles, and I think they're going to make a good comeback against the Chiefs. Because I think the Chiefs' luck is going to run out unless they find a way to get Kelsey the ball. Not force the ball so many times into your wide receivers. But I think the Falcons are going to start getting more momentum now, and I think they're going to be a solid team to contend, but I don't think they're going to be a deep playoff team. But the Falcons are going to win. Next, I have the Jaguars at Bills. I have the Bills winning because Josh Allen seems to think now that he lost Stephon Diggs that he's Superman. That he's just going to do everything by himself. He's like, fine. I mean, he lost even more than Stephon Diggs. He lost so many people. I think he lost Gabe Davis and all those. So ain't nobody really that good on the team besides Josh Allen. And he's like, you know what? Fuck all you. I don't need any of you. I don't need none of you. I'm going to do it on my own. But he's going to beat the Jaguars. Not the Bills. He is going to beat the Jaguars. Commanders at the Bengals on Monday Night Football. I have the Bengals winning, mainly because the Commanders are, with Jaden Daniels, they're an okay team, but they're not, like I said, they're still not good. So, the Bengals are going to win. But that one, hopefully, once we get into a better routine again, that I'll be able to post a little bit more. I will definitely try my hardest to make my picks every week and talk about them. But I think that's going to do it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications. As I say here at DNTV, you stay classy, don't be trashy, and enjoy the rest of your day. I mean it. And we will see y'all in the next one. Deuces.